It's the month of May, and it's time for Photo Video Trends. And we're back from NAB. Barely. Just rolled in.
It's been a month, JP.
It has been. Have you signed up to win one of these Tamron lenses, a 90mm or 85mm? Go to theslantlens.com and win one today! So, NAB's over. And maybe there's some residuals from NAB we should talk about, but there's a few things going on. Should jump right into it.
It's one of those things when you're there, you're just excited and you forget to talk about a lot of cool things, so you just don't have time to see everything, so you get to check out the blogosphere afterwards and kind of realize what you missed out on. So
yeah.
That's really what it was. I'm seeing three things, and we kind of touched on some of them the last time we spoke, but I saw a lot of LED lights, of course.
Oh my word, they're everywhere.
Everywhere, and we're talking manufacturers that, I mean, KinoFlow's doing LED lights now, Lowell's doing LED lights now, so everybody's in the LED game. Ican's got some really, I don't know if you saw their
I
LED
did,
lights.
they got some fabulous lights.
Bicolor,
Yep.
and the color, the CRI stays pretty much 95
Yep.
plus throughout the bicolor range
Yep.
and the dimmable range, so really cool looking lights.
It also has the great Fresnel lights,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fabulous LEDs. Those were great. I think they've had those for a while.
Lowell had
Yep.
some new Fresnel style LED lights and some 1x1 type lights. So that's LEDs everywhere, and that's fun. The second thing was batteries. So V-mount and Anton Bauer Gold Mount batteries are kind of revamping. I'm seeing
I'm all Anton Bauer. Should I switch over to V-mount?
No,
I keep
they're the
debating
same.
this.
It's the same.
It's the same, but it
if
seems
you're-
like the industry's shifting towards V-mount to
I
me.
don't think so.
No?
Okay. I don't think so.
Okay, because I have all my Anton Bauer, and I don't want to have to. I mean, they're expensive.
They're
man.
really expensive. That's the thing, though. So now we have all these Chinese manufacturers that are coming in with these batteries, and the watt hours are great. They've got P-tap, they've got USB or barrel tap. I mean, there's like all sorts of adapters and digital readouts on these things, and they're a fraction of the cost, like sometimes like a third of the cost.
I mean, they're
of these
going to say,
Anton
they can
Bauer
tell you how many
batteries.
times it's been charged. They can say, gosh, well, if you send this out on a rental, and the guy says, well, I'm going to use it once this weekend, and it's charged 20 times, you know, they're using I mean, like going, really, I want to manage my batteries that much?
No, you don't. I mean, Anton Bauer's had that technology for a long time.
Yeah.
But the thing, though, that's special about it is it's cheaper. Also, the thing that I'm starting to see from a couple different companies, Spectronics was one of them, is that you can't fly with more than 4 160 watt-hour batteries on an airplane, but you can fly with unlimited 100 watt-hour batteries, right?
Yep.
So what they've done is they've said, well, let's piggyback 200 watt-hour
smart.
batteries.
Just drop
so
them
now
together.
you basically essentially have a 200 watt-hour battery that you just piggyback, and you can take unlimited amounts of them on airplanes, which is awesome.
Well, it's fabulous, too. I mean, it's just easy to piggyback. I don't know. That's great great technology.
Because if you want to go light, if you're on a gimbal, you just leave one on there and you switch it out. Or if you want to do, if you want more power, if you're going to go out for a little bit, you just throw another one on there and you've got twice as much power.
Fabulous.
It's really cool technology. And the third thing was software updates.
Software. Everybody's doing software updates. That'll be the next round. If we don't have the money to create new technology, but we'll do a software update that gives you all kinds of new opportunities with your camera or whatever, which is fabulous. So.
It is, and I was thinking about it. We've mentioned on the show a couple of times how it bums us out that rather than come up with a software update that just makes your camera better, they just come out with a new camera.
Yeah.
So I am in many ways pretty happy about what's happening, right? So now we're seeing these companies go, yeah, so we came out with that camera last year, remember? Well, now we've got new software for that same camera. It's not going to cost you anything. That's just going to unlock a bunch of really cool essential tools for your camera.
Well, Tor showed me that on the Ursa Mini at NAB. You've got a new software update, and it's now all touchscreen, and all kinds of things you can do on the screen you couldn't do before that were fabulous.
Tint control.
Yeah,
and, there's like a ton of things now, and it's a completely redesigned interface too. So it's very user friendly.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
Before we go off from LEDs, I do want to say this one thing.
Okay.
My favorite LED of all time has been the one that was made by Photoflex, which is the North Star light.
Okay.
And the reason is it's got an LED in a housing, and you've got an Anton Bauer, back to batteries. Got a Bowens mount on the front, so you can put softbox and everything. All the stuff I use for strobes, I can put on the front of this light. Well, Aperture has that light with a ballast. That was my only, I'm going, oh, really? I mean, it was all contained with the North Star, but they have the same, it's almost the same looking housing. It's the same housing, but they do have the ballast. I saw several of those that were interesting lights, but with ballast, you know, and I'm going, the ballast thing, you know, I just...
With the Bowens mount adapter?
As far as being able to, you can do whatever adapter you, with the Bowens mount, yes. No, the only one I saw the Bowens mount was from Aperture, maybe LEDGO, was that what they were called? LED?
LEDGO.
LEDGO?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, LEDGO.
LEDGO. LEDGO. LEDGO.
I thought it was like an Italian Lego is how I remember it. But then I realized
Lego.
it's like LED Go. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
LEDGO.
LEDGO.
They had some great lights too, but so the only one I saw that had the Bowens mount, so you can put all your soft boxes and beauty dishes and all that kind of stuff on there, was the one by Aperture, and it was pretty cool, but it did have the ballast. So anyway, so there's some interesting things on LEDs. I do want to say that today, May 12th, I think that's today. So today, Tamron announced that starting today, their 35 and 45 millimeter SP A-mount lenses are going to be shipping. So
Sony mount.
Sony mount. So everyone who's interested in Tamron lenses and Sony mount, those are going to start to ship now. So not only can you get them in Nikon and in Canon, you can now get their primes in Sony, which is fabulous.
They're 1.8 aperture?
1.8, yep.
Sharp as a tack?
Sharp as a tack. Those 35 and 45 focus up to about 8 inches.
Wow.
Which is, it makes
practically
it almost
macro.
a macro, yeah. It's very.
What's the price point? Do you know?
About $600.
Okay.
They're very reasonably priced.
So a lot less expensive than the Sony Zeiss.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
By about $500.
Yep.
Okay.
And they're also they focus the same way that that Canon does now, which is something I've loved.
Oh yeah.
They do. So they switch the
pull
focus.
it left, infinity focus, right?
Just so nice, so nice. So that's a great announcement.
Yeah.
So, Sony's coming on. I mean, I'm waiting for my A7R II to arrive, which should be fun.
Cool.
So, anyway, what else do we have?
I don't know. Those LED lights was the one that kept popping up for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's talk about this right here.
Okay.
GoPro virtual camera. So GoPro has a virtual reality camera. 360, no, not 360.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. 360 degree experience. So it's like 6 GoPros.
Yeah, 6 GoPros stitched together. So they've got a mold, and they're selling a kit right now on B&H. So it comes with 6 cameras, the mold, batteries, cards, and a case to carry it in.
For a whopping
$5,000.
Holy cow, that's a lot of virtual reality. Yeah.
Right. So if you want to buy your GoPros, you're looking at about $1,800, maybe $2,000. But if you want a little casing to throw them in, well, it's going to be another $3,000. No, I mean, they've got cards and stuff.
Hey, we'll sell you some gaff tape, you know, for $1,000, and you can tape those babies together, you know. Tape them on a helmet or something. I'm sure it'll look great.
You know, you might start you have to look around to get an actual field of view, but no. And I did I shot a virtual reality convention in Los Angeles last year, and maybe it was this year, yeah, just like a couple months ago. And the other molds that other companies have are like $500 or $600.
So you just put your GoPros in the mold?
So you buy the GoPros individually and you put them in this mold, and then there's different software that people have that you can stitch those together. In fact, Adobe, with the new Premiere, announced that you can click a button and it'll automatically show you a field of view, and you can choose the frame. So there's a way now to, within Premiere, stitch those cameras together and kind of be able to move around the frame.
Well, virtual reality is the buzzword of the day. It was at NAB, and will continue to be. So I don't know where it's going to settle in to the world.
We were mentioning cinematography. I hope it doesn't settle into that world.
I can't imagine it. I don't see the reason as a director. The reason I love the camera is I get to tell people what they want. What I want them to look at.
That's the art.
Yeah.
That's the art of it.
It'd be like taking a photograph, 360 landscape, and you just look at whatever section you like.
Yeah, no.
No, you make a decision.
Ansel Adams is rolling in his grave.
Yeah. So, here's moonrise over Hernandez, and you can look around and
there's my car in the background.
There's a truck in the background. Hey, what's that up there? But is there a place for it? Absolutely. I mean, there's some incredible places for it.
In the medical world alone, think about dentists and surgeons that are in school learning to practice these things. So you put yourself in an environment and you're going to learn so much more. You're going to feel so much more presence, right? So as you're there, you're watching the surgeon pick up the tool and you're hearing him in 360 surround sound, and that I think is more of what we're going to see. is this move into different fields.
So we should do
3D.
virtual reality lighting lessons from the Slanted Lens. Here we are on location. You can look around.
I don't know how you light that stuff, man. I don't know. I honestly, because where do you have to just have, I mean, either overhead lights that are just practicals that are playing within the scene, that are lighting the scene, or you have to have windows and much larger sources pushing light in through those windows so that you can back them way up so that you're not seeing the sources as you're moving around the space.
Boy, that's a whole nother, that'll become the lighting challenge of the next generation, how to light for virtual reality. And there'll be ways to do it, I'm sure.
You know, I was on Facebook and a video popped up automatically. It was a sponsored video. I think it was Dancing with the Stars. And it was, I kind of scrolled past it, but I realized it was a 3D video. And there was people dancing all around me. And I found myself, I clicked on the video and it was so fun. I was just looking at all these dancers on the stage, and you could hear the crowd kind of move around in stereo, you know.
But at that point, you accept the lighting that's there as part of the experience, because when we go to a concert, but you go to a concert and you expect to see the lighting and things. You don't expect to see the window as painted by the camera.
Right. So obviously you've got stage lights and you can see them flaring out the lenses and stuff, and that's absolutely acceptable for that medium, right? So that was interesting. I felt completely involved. I was I was in the middle of the stage being danced around. And it was very fun, and I got to choose who I watched, the most attractive couple. I'm going to follow them. There they go. But no, it was super fun. I enjoyed it. So there is something there.
So having been raised in Idaho on a farm, kind of, my grandparents had a farm. Anyway, I remember doing branding of cows at one time. I was pretty young, but I remember running on the horse, riding hard and fast, and there's cows all around. And I remember thinking, this is incredible. I mean, it was pretty amazing. So if you could do something like that in virtual reality, to be in those kinds of experiences, that sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a virtual reality fan now, so I bought my GoPro. I'm ordering mine today.
It only took me a couple minutes. Discussion.
All right, well, I do have on here, have you heard about the new Canon 80D?
No. I mean, yeah, I have. But I mean, we didn't really touch on it. It's a replacement to the 70D, is that right?
It is. Yep. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. Okay, moving on. That was pretty exciting, the 80D.
But is there anything about it that's exciting?
No. It's an improvement. Canon has everything departmentalized, and unfortunately, I think it will prove to be a little bit problematic for them, because they're not going to allow their DSLR video cameras to impede on their C100s. So the Mark III, like the new Mark IV specs, are like, are you kidding me?
Really?
Have you seen them?
No.
Oh, there were rumors that leaked, and it was like, we went from a 21 megapixel to a 23 megapixel. We did, I mean, the things that they did that improved it are not improvements at all. No 4K.
What?
No,
You're kidding.
no. Because they've got their C100. They've got
it doesn't do 4K.
No,
C100.
But they've got the
C300 Mark II.
Yes, and they've also got
which is a $16,000 camera. You can compete with that.
Well, and they have the 1DC.
Oh, right.
You know, so I feel like I'm going, until they get a camera that goes head to head with the Sony A7R II, they're in trouble, I think, in that market.
Oh,
maybe they don't
absolutely.
view it. Maybe they don't view it that way.
What, you can pick up a A7R II for $3,300? Is that what it is? No, it's less than that, $3,000?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's around $3,100, $3,200.
For the longest time, the 5D Mark IV was supposed to be...
well, maybe this was
5DX now?
These were rumors.
Was it called the 5DX?
Yes. So talking about the new one that came out this last year. Was that it?
No, I think it's still rumored. I don't think anything's come out officially.
What was the one that came out with this last year?
It was a 5DS.
Okay.
And 5DSR, but then I think it's going to be called, instead of the 5D Mark IV, I think they're just going to call it the 5DX.
5DX?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what the rumor is anyway. But for the longest time, it was supposed to have 4K. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make
they
any
wouldn't
sense.
Have that.
And maybe those specs or rumors are just, I mean, there's nothing official from Canon about that at this point.
Boy.
So.
Boy. I said someone turned down an Alexa rental because they said the producer wanted to go 4K, which happens from time to time. I get that. But it's like,
well, I think producers and directors are going to start looking at sellability, and I think people want to have the option to sell it to people in 4K.
If you're streaming online, Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, they're all looking for 4K content. They all want it because it's future-proof.
Yep.
And so I don't know. That's just something you can shoot very raw and then upscale it if you want, but it's still not technically 4K. So.
Yeah. All right, well, moving on. I got a note here that says Nikon, Sony, and Fuji report issues with their production process as a direct result of the recent earthquakes. And they said some rebates from Nikon have been canceled as well. So because of earthquake issues, they are having problems in Japan.
Oh, wow.
That's
Are they all the same sensor? Sony, Nikon, and Fuji? Do they all make the same? Is it Sony that makes their sensors?
So I think Sony I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think that might be right.
So I wonder if that's related.
I don't know. Not sure.
Interwebs, help us out.
That's right. Give us a shot in the arm there.
They all make the same sensor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of new announcements as well. Baja B6, which I've used and love, which is a battery pack location light. They're now Dynalight's going to introduce a studio version of that, which is not battery packed, but is AC version. So I think it's either the AC6 or the S6.
Okay.
I can't remember. Peter told me, and I can't remember.
Do you know a price point? It's going to be less expensive than the battery power one?
I believe so, and the exact price he wasn't sure about. But I know that is needed because you need a good monoblock, studio head monoblock.
And it'll be less expensive. It'll be cheap.
Yeah.
Super powerful, too.
Yep, so 600 watt seconds was fabulous.
Cool.
Which is something I'm going to do a lesson about, but we figured out how to use a speed light to high-speed sync with your Dynalight packs.
Okay.
I'm going to do a lesson on that, which I think is, for those who do strobes, that is a huge deal.
Okay.
And so I'll be talking about that.
Excited.
Okay. Other things I saw there. Did you see this thing from Matthews, the Infinity Arm?
Nope.
I thought it was fabulous. It's basically a magic arm. It's an arm, 2 points, but it was so strong on the ends, and it's a ball receptor. So you just slip out and you change the balls. So it's like the guy who has no hand. You can put the different.
Okay.
Never mind. I don't know how I made that analogy.
No, that's all right. It's like Go-Go Gadget.
Yes.
Magic arm.
But you can put a hot shoe on it. You can put a 1/4-20. You can put 3/8. You can put they have a ball that has a Mayfair clamp, small Mayfair clamp on it.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, they just have all kinds of stuff you can adapt to it that makes it so you can rig lights in very tight places. And I thought it was a really ingenious little setup. And the fact that it locks so tight was really incredible. Matthews makes great stuff when they do stuff.
No, I love it. It's an industry standard for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you should check that out. It's called the Infinity Arm from Matthews.
We'll give it a look.
Also, Spider Holster is coming out with their Spider Light hand strap, which they have a Kickstarter campaign for the new Spider Light hand strap for the DSLRs, for mirrorless cameras. It's hard to get a strap to work on mirrorless cameras because there's no play. You got to avoid the battery on the bottom. You got to be able to get your fingers onto the different controls, and so it's been pretty difficult. But he's come up with a great solution. It'll give you a hand strap that will avoid all those things and make it so it's workable. So it was kind of a difficult thing to pull off. So that's coming from Spider Holster.
What we didn't talk about was the Lytro camera. Lytro.
Lytro?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the Lytro camera, which was a really big deal. So, kind of following in that virtual reality vein a little bit, you've got this camera now that you can basically choose your perspective, your field of view in post-production. So,
your field of view, your focus points, right?
Yeah, your focus points. So it has an unbelievable amount of storage data.
I'm sure.
Well, because it's got it basically records data on every pixel on every focus field. I'm not going to be able to explain it.
So when you take a picture, is it instantaneous? So it's not like you have to scan.
It's not taking pictures though. It's taking video.
Oh.
So the idea is that you can in real time create a virtual reality environment. So you can choose your subject to be in focus in the background. It's basically you create a mask. It's like shooting on a green or blue screen without having to do any of that. You don't light blue screen, you don't light green screen. There's my subject. I select that focus point, and then all of a sudden it creates a mask in post so that you can have a perfect, beautiful mask because it's looking at the actual the pixels that are in focus, but it's recording data on every single pixel, so you don't have to set a camera focus while you're there. It's recording all that information.
This has been out for a while. We talked about this on the Slanted Lens.
As a still camera.
Okay, as a still camera.
Right.
So this is a video version.
Yes, this is a video version, and the amount of data that this thing records is unbelievable. So this is going to be a great option for visual effects in the future, for sure. Because now you don't have to spend time masking, or you don't have to light a blue screen or a green screen, and it's instant. It's a beautiful, beautiful mask immediately.
Well, and also focus. So if you've got two actors, one in the foreground, one in the background, you can pull the focus from one to the other.
Yep.
Back and forth, and you can mask them.
You can do that in post. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Boy, so what does that do for shooting? Does it mean you have to have a ton more light? I mean, there's optics somewhere in there. You have to have enough depth of field.
My thought is this camera is not going to be used for a lot of cinematography. It's going to be mostly used for VFX, or possibly ENG solutions. Right?
That would make sense.
Where you have to have a background keyed on the spot, and then you run it through some graphics processing. Then you have, there's your background, and there's a field with football players or whatever. That's kind of where I see this future. Or you shoot the Jungle Book, right? And rather than having blue everything and you have to light it all perfectly, you just have this kid rolling over whatever, and you're able to mask that immediately and select the pixels that you want to be in focus, and then just make everything else disappear. And you can do that. Pretty crazy.
That's pretty crazy. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So there's one other thing I want to talk about from NAB. I bumped into this company. Actually, Stuart from B&H took me over there, and they said, hey, you got to meet these guys.
Okay.
And there's a company called My Case Builder.
Okay.
And what they do is you get online, and you tell them, I have this SKB case that's this size. And so it automatically brings up a template. And you say, here's the pieces of equipment I want to put in it. I want this piece and this piece and this piece. And you drag them on there and you drop them on there. And you can put them which way you want to configure it. You move them around. You decide how much room you want between each piece. You decide if you want to have cutouts to the corners to pick it up. You make all those decisions. And if you go, and it's all laser cut foam, it sends it back to you. And they have 2 or 3 different kinds of foam. So you have softer foam, harder foam, depending on what you want to do with it. And the cool thing was, I said, well, what if I have a piece of equipment that you don't have a template for? And he goes, no problem, take a picture of it, load it on there. It will trace it.
How?
Set it on there. It's just masking. It's just taking the image and masking around it.
But how does it know the dimensions from a picture?
That's a good question. it's this big, but it's for my C300.
Yeah. Well, the picture, it only shows it this big.
It was only that big.
They just send you this giant case with this tiny little
foreground. It looked bigger.
Oh man,
it's a school of France. So I don't know. There's some way. There has to be. Maybe you have to make a couple of measurements. You probably would, just to give them some scale.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just a fabulous. They're not super expensive. It's like $85 to do a case.
Ooh, that's awesome.
I just thought it was a fabulous way to get exactly what you want. Because I always do that. I'm going, okay, I just wish I have the 3 GoPro cameras, and I want a place to put all these other rigs and things in, and you can just make those decisions. I think it's fabulous.
That's awesome. Cool.
So My Case Builder. So I thought that one was incredible. All right, so those are some of the things I saw at NAB. I mean, we can keep talking forever. There are all kinds of great things there. Interesting things, small things,
Big things, small things.
Big things, little things.
Lots of things.
C-stand, they didn't have to righty-tighty, lefty-loosey on.
Ooh,
that was pretty cool. Interlocking grooves.
By Yes?
By Yes. I think it's called Yes Stand or something. It's a Chinese company. I thought that was interesting, something we'll probably see a lot more of because that's always been an issue, interlocking.
Right.
So, but anyway, great stuff. Okay. Oh, last of all, don't forget, we have our business coaching class, and we have our free call. It's going to be on May 19th, 5 o'clock, and that's Pacific Standard Time. You can join us, understand exactly what we do in our business coaching class, and have an opportunity to just to listen for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. We're going to talk about the daily routine for success, which is how I always kick this off, because if people will do the daily routine for success, you can start making money immediately. Immediately. Everyone who I do this with will start turning and getting jobs almost immediately. And the ones who stick with it will make a lot of money. So anyway, join us on the 19th of May, 5 o'clock Pacific time for our business coaching class free call.
I want you to tell me what the things are as soon as we cut the cameras.
Okay, I will. Yeah. So there you go, photo video trends for the month of May.
Keep those cameras rolling.
Keep on clicking. The Slanted Lens business coaching class is back. For those of you who didn't join us last time, you missed out. Has your business grown like you wanted it to? We'll help it grow. Get involved with us. It's time to go. Go to theslantedlens.com/business class and I'll help you grow your business. So here we are.
Again,
still photo video trends, but it's time for our questions. from our Flamingo mailbox. And let's see what our writers have sent in.
Duplicate.
Every time I do this, Flamingo mailbox.
I remember that.
Okay, got questions from. We try to answer as many questions as we can from our YouTube lessons, and so if you put good questions on there, we'll answer them. Put dumb ones on there, we won't, but
We probably will.
we probably will anyway.
Yeah.
All right, David Star Photography. How many joules are needed to overpower the sun when using high-speed sync? So a joule is a derived unit of energy in an international system of units.
Right. It is equal to the energy transferred or work done to an object when a force of 1 Newton acts in that object in the direction of its motion through a distance.
About a meter, right?
Usually it's pretty common knowledge that that's what the
About a
distance
meter.
is, about a meter.
So in high-speed sync, because the shutter is moving across the focal planes, the sensor so quickly,
Sensor size.
you're going to need about 3 joules per flash. And so at about 6 flashes, which is 6 times 3, which is 18 joules, you'll get the correct exposure with high-speed sync. So look for about 18 joules to get the correct exposure when using high-speed sync.
That's great.
Thank you, David, for that question. We love you.
6 times 3. That doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
right.
It's common knowledge.
Yeah, common knowledge. All right.
Packing video and photo equipment, photography travel tips. Quammer, Fide Rally said, what type of jib? Kessler pocket jib, Travelers is 27 inches in length. Is that
Well, he asked what kind of jib that was that we were talking about, because I said I travel with a small jib.
Right.
Yeah, it's that Kessler Pocket Traveler. It's like, it breaks down to about 27 inches. It's really simple to travel with. It's a little, it's a very lightweight jib, but you know what? For traveling, it's fabulous.
Just to get some perspective a little bit.
I used it when we were shooting in Fiji. I did some shots at the beach. I did some shots in the with the guys in the OR. We were doing the surgeries.
So in order for you to get any kind of visual anything out of a jib that size, you're going to need some foreground and separation, some background elements. So if you're coming up from the sand, if there's a tree or a bush, and you want to show something, that's going to be your most effective use out of a 27-inch jib that packs down.
No, that packs 27 inches.
But it
telescopes
expands,
out.
right, to 4 feet or something like that.
I can't remember the exact distance, but it's somewhere
Right.
in there.
So even, if you have a 30-foot jib, you have a much larger moving perspective, so you can get away with less foreground, background elements. But if for the smaller the jib size, you're going to want to see some sand in the foreground, maybe a bush that you're kind of climbing up over, just so you get that perspective immediately that the camera's moving. Yeah. Also, I will say that there is the stabilization tool, the warp stabilizer in Premiere, is basically, if you can get that handheld and do some sort of motion.
Do the same thing?
Almost.
Yeah.
As long as you're not flaring the lens, because
Yeah.
when you stabilize the lens flare, it's going to be bouncing all around the image. But you can make it pretty dang cool, pretty dang stable.
Well, there you go. That's even smaller and cheaper than the
It is.
27-inch Kessler Pocket Jib.
All right.
So going on, time-lapse day to night. Why don't you shoot wider like 2.8 for night shots? I don't like being on the lens wide open, so I stop down and stop. That's just what I do. It makes my time twice as long, which you can cut those times in half, but it just feels like the lens is a little sharper when it isn't wide open.
Wide open, you're gonna run into some problems with your contrast. You're gonna run into problems with your chromatic aberration, which is those green and red hazes on the outlines of objects. So it's just good to stop down, even if you can stop, not a full stop, but like half a stop or something. You start to just get a lot sharper on that lens, and the contrast starts to control itself a lot better.
Yeah.
All right, so Dennis Stone said, nice video. This is also about the time-lapse day to night. I wish you would have showed more of how you did the dissolve. Also, is there a reason you use auto white balance instead of manual? Just curious. I thought everything should be set to manual.
It's the common kind of mistake. Everyone thinks that if you do photography, then you should do it in manual. But the reality is, with auto white balance, when you've got the sun changes as much as you do from daylight into nighttime, just put it on auto white balance, let the camera make that decision for you. You get in with the raw images and make all those decisions later anyway. You can make every decision with regards to color balance later. But my experience has been that auto white balance is pretty darn good. It has a pretty good idea of what's going on there. So
yeah. So, is the ISO also auto?
No. I set the ISO, and the lesson we do two passes. The first pass is daytime, and you have settings into night, and then you reset for stars at night, and then in Premiere you dissolve those two together.
Oh, cool.
And so that's what he was talking about, showing more about how we did that dissolve in Premiere.
Is it just a cross dissolve, or what is it? How did you do it?
We did a long cross dissolve, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Easy peasy.
It's very easy. The hardest part of that long cross dissolve is just making sure that, because we also had a move going, so the camera's moving as well.
Oh,
but we redid, we matched, you have to match those just to make sure.
Because it was on a motor?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
So I watched Kate as she did it. I didn't do it, Kate did it. As she matched those up,
slides it
just
around,
make
back and
sure you
forth.
get them, the mountains, and everything lines up. But it looked very good.
So I import all my, what's the hotkey, Kate, for the slide tool in Premiere? Y? So if you're using Premiere and you're using the Premiere hotkeys, Y is going to select your slide tool, and you can kind of slide that back and forth and match those up. I imported all my Final Cut Pro hotkeys years ago when I first switched to Premiere, and I've been too lazy or too much of a wimp to switch to Premiere. So and it's funny, my editor, Kate, knows this about me. So every time she sends me a project file, she updates the keyboard shortcuts, or every time I sit on her editing system, she'll go and she has one that's specifically called Lars. I'll switch to, and that's called, it's S for slide, which makes a lot more sense.
Yes, it does.
But yeah, it helps out a lot. Great.
Okay.
Wireless follow focus. Jose Manriquez said, "Can you provide the Amazon link for the battery pack?" Thanks. Absolutely, we can.
This is the one that you put together with
Yes.
that wireless follow focus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did find a battery pack that was like $25. It was a lot less expensive than theirs, and I didn't have to pay a crazy fee to have it shipped. It was just an Amazon Prime item. Yeah, so we'll find a link, and we'll make that an affiliate for sure.
Yo, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because we can get that through Amazon with our affiliate link. You can get that on Amazon and be able to pick that up.
I sent that link to you, and you bought one too.
You did. I did.
So, yeah, we've got that link.
Okay,
for
we'll
sure.
get that up.
Okay.
Okay, so product review. This is Lexar Workflow HR2, and it says BV Productions by Narja.
Not on John's sign.
Very good. Hey, I just wanted to check what's the difference between the Professional Workflow CR1 and the Professional Workflow CR2. So it's a CFast card. CR1 is going to be USB 3.0, and CR2 is Thunderbolt. So, and those go to different towers, because the Workflow HR2 is the Thunderbolt tower. Mm-hmm. As I understand it, then you have to have the Thunderbolt modules. And I may be wrong about that, but
I think that's right.
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
That Lexar tower is a dream.
That's awesome.
I love it.
That's cool. All right, Ursa versus Alexa.
Ursa versus Alexa.
All right. Please, anyone help? I'm looking at buying the Blackmagic Ursa Mini 4.6K camera. However, I want to get the best camera at that price range, don't we all?
Yes.
That's about $6,000. Can anyone tell me of a better camera at that price instead? This is all about perspective.
It is. So, it's what you're doing and what you're...
Spec per spec, a lot of people would say the Ursa Mini is your best bet. Or your Sony FS7 is probably another competing contender, but that's a little bit more expensive.
It's almost 8.
Yeah, and technically, I mean, there's other things too. This is my personal preference. I'm not a huge fan of the motion that the FS7 has. It just doesn't look very cinematic to me.
People walking and things like that.
Yeah, well, just the motion, the way the image records to the sensor, I'm just not a super fan of. And I will admit that I do like the way the motions record on the Blackmagic cameras. To me, it has a very Red or Alexa type motion cinematic feel. And all the video I've seen, the test stuff coming out of the Ursa Mini, I think is very impressive. I'm very pleased with the way the image looks, the skin tones, the quality of the image, the cinematic abilities. However, I've had a lot of people talk to me about kind of the way it's built, and maybe it's not the strongest housing, or I've had some people say that the camera's just straight up bricked, like the processor doesn't work, some sensor issues for sure. So they just came out with a massive software update that's supposed to fix a lot of the stuff. So you're probably in a really good place to try the Ursa Mini. There's a lot of people buying them right now. So yeah, I'd say for $6,000, that's probably your best bang for your buck.
You're not going to do better than that for $6,000. I don't think there's any. But if it doesn't, if it is problematic and it doesn't work, then that's you know,
that's a problem.
$6,000 camera that doesn't work is not worth $6,000.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
It's just doesn't get you where you want to go.
So here's hoping that these software updates do something pretty good, and that we don't have these, probably fix a lot of these problems. But yeah, we'll see.
I think if you don't go that way, then the only other thing that competes in my mind is the A7R2 with the, you know, put a Ninja. But so do you feel like the motion's the same on the R2? Have you looked at that?
Yeah, I do.
It's the way Sony cameras are.
It's just the way Sony cameras are, and I mean, it doesn't stop me from owning an A7S, and it
I'd love to look at that.
Yeah.
Test that motion, and can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Can I perceive it?
Can other people see it? You know,
Right.
sometimes it's a matter of I don't know, it's a feeling or...
It's a feeling.
It feels wrong.
It just feels wrong. Right. I mean, I can clearly see the difference between switching 24p and 30p.
Yeah.
Like I can if I turn on a camera and it's 30p, I know immediately. And so, but even still, it's post. When I look at it on a computer screen, when I'm editing it, that's when I notice the cinematic difference. And I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. But,
well, let's go jump to this next one because it ties right into this.
Great.
This is from our April trends, and it's from Antonio Panero. I think I said that right, but anyway, what do you think about the
Kinfinity
Terra? That's the 6,000 or 6K camera. It's kind of in the same. I mean, he's asking about a $5,000 camera, $6,000 camera. This is kind of in that same category, is it not?
It really is. So Kinfinity, I don't really know how you pronounce them, they've been in the market now for a couple years now, and they just came out with a Terra camera, which is a compact, raw, and ProRes shooting camera. So that they are basically head-to-head with Red. That's who they want to be. It's a Chinese manufacturer that's competing at Red cameras. Saying we want to get into this cinema market and at a price point that's a little bit more desirable. Because even though the body is technically close to the same price as the Red Raven, you're still, like, all your accessories are a fraction of the cost.
Oh,
so
yeah, I'm sure.
Building a full kit, the Terra kit's probably going to cost you maybe $8,000 with cards and everything. Whereas if you want to do the Raven, you're looking at $11,000, $12,000 for the same package. So it is less expensive, and they are trying to compete directly with Red. So the sensor size, raw recording, with ProRes capabilities, with that same cinematic kind of feel and dynamic range. Whether they're doing it or not, I've seen some test footage. Some of it's very pretty, some of it's a little crunchy, not to my taste. But there's definitely a future for these guys.
Well, I've hardly ever heard of them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a new thing for me.
Yeah.
So
they're modular like Red. So the idea is that you can build it out, you can make it a little bit more pro, or you have different frame rates. So you can buy a 6K version and you have higher frame rates, very much like the Red Epic, Red Dragon, Red Weapon, all these new Red cameras. Speaking of Red cameras, we didn't even mention that David Fincher, the director, had a special made Red camera for his production because he wanted a handheld Red.
Oh.
I just wanted to scream, buy an Alexa! You want a handheld something? Just go buy an Amira or an Alexa. There you go. But
it's not a Red.
So they basically took like all the modular things that Red makes and just built it into a giant shoulder pad. It's pretty ridiculous looking, and it's got like this scaled like dragon type thing on it. Anyway.
It's the tail of the dragon.
Yeah, there's Red for you.
Very good.
Innovative. But,
okay.
David Lang says, how come Lars never mentions the FS5 when talking about video cameras? Is it not a good option? Well, maybe I should mention the FS5.
Maybe so.
I've shot on the FS5 once or twice, and it's a great camera. I've mentioned before, obviously in this lesson, that Sony, the Motion, is not my favorite in terms of cinematic abilities, but if you're looking for a really pretty powerful camera for $5,600.
Specs are pretty amazing.
Right, so you can still do internal 4K. The differences between that and the FS7, mostly you're going to see that you don't have, you can't export LUTs or do LUTs internally. You also only have 8-bit Ultra HD output and internal recording. And whereas the FS7 you have 422 10-bit recording, and then you also have 422 10-bit output.
You got better color grading options and
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's going to be your most professional difference between those cameras. But if you're doing a lot of run and gun stuff, or if you're just like don't have a ton of time,
corporate interviews and videos.
oh
it's
gosh!
like,
But even some commercial aspects where it's your final output's online and you're doing your own color grading, maybe in Premiere or something like that, then this is a really great option. You still have the built-in XLRs and the built-in ND filters, which are a must, and the internal 4K recording. So
which are a must, but the Ursa Mini doesn't have them.
Yes, it does.
Built-in NDs.
Oh, built-in NDs it did not.
Did not.
Right. Yeah,
No.
so the Ursa Mini, but it has XLRs and it has
Yeah.
the internal 4K. But yeah.
Yep. Alan
Did something.
comes from our Facebook group here. Does the quality of the front fabric on softbox or shoot-through umbrellas make a big difference? You know, as with all things, you know, whether it's thick or whether it's thin, it absolutely has a complete change of the light. The thicker that set fabric is on the front, the softer the light's going to be. You know, the thinner it is, the harder it is. So you have to decide what you like. A little thinner, a little thinner, a little harder light looks great on people's faces, I think.
I love,
you know?
yeah, playing with that. Male faces, maybe sometimes little, like in the older range too. It just starts to get some really cool detail.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you have old, like I just did a commercial with Betty White a couple weeks ago, and we did it's called a book light, where we take a large source, it's an M18, it's an 1800 watt HMI RE light, and we push it into an 8x ultra bounce, which then we push through again 12 by.
So you're bouncing the ultra bounces, which is going through the 12 by.
Which is going through a 12 by half grid. So by the time we're done with it, it's a soft on softer source that's 12 by 12 feet in a tiny room. You know, so you take an 1800 watt HMI light, which is probably like a 6 or 8K tungsten equivalent. So it's a large source of power, and by the time you're finally pushing it out something, you're only reading like 5.6 and at an 800 ISO.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty incredible. But the light just wraps so beautifully, and you get these massive catch lights in the eyes. And
But doesn't it just make the whole room flatten out?
no, because inverse square law, we were able to get it nice and close to her. And so she's just like wrapped really beautifully, and we didn't light the background at all. We just let it fall off very naturally, and it looked beautiful. It's one light, and we'll have to post the commercials.
It sounds fabulous.
One light in the entire space. She was very specific. She didn't want to be backlit.
Oh, she did?
No, yeah, she's.
Oh, that's right.
Her people said, you know, she's 94 years old.
So you shouldn't say why she said she didn't want to be backlit.
Okay, yeah. I won't
Maybe
say
you
that.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't either. They just said she didn't want to be backlit, so we didn't backlight her.
There you go. So, moving on.
Yeah.
That's our last question.
Yeah.
So there you go. Questions and answers from Photo Video Trends for the month of May. So anyway, let's not forget to mention our business coaching class, May 19th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have a free call. Jump on. You can sign up at theslantedlens.com.
How much is it to sign up for a
free.
year? Is it?
For the business coaching class is $300.
Okay.
And you go through the material at whatever pace you want. Like if you hit a module called, web page design, you could take weeks to work and to get your web page done.
Cool.
And it just kind of keeps moving you forward. And then once a month, for the first 4 months you have it, you join us for a question and answer call once a month.
Cool.
So, and the group is not huge. So if you have questions and answers, you will get them answered. You'll get on there and I'll be able to work with you. So
Nice.
So it's a great class.
Yeah.
So May 19th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just go to theslantedlens.com where you can sign up for it. So keep those cameras rolling.
Keep on clicking.
There's no reason to join our business coaching call because your business is making millions of dollars. But if it isn't, go to theslantedlens.com and sign up for our free business coaching call. It'll help grow your business. Slanted Lens, how many joules are needed to overpower the sun using high-speed sync? I have no idea even what a joule is.
Just, keep turning it up until you see something.
I thought I read all these. He's trying to stump us.